whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets crackling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Judy. That was very nice. This time I'd like to introduce Speaker Bob Igo. He did a story on the plane crash down in Shanksville for 9/11. Bob.
See you later.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to say how honored I am to be here at this occasion. I'd like to thank His Honor for his invitation. And I'd like to thank Mr. Powers for being here too. I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say and his experiences. But no matter who you are, where you lived, one of the things that we all had in common on September 11th that morning was that all of us thought it was just going to be a normal day. I certainly thought my day was starting normally, so much so I didn't even bother turning on the news on the way to work like I usually do. But then maybe about a block away from the office, I turned it on, and then I get there and everybody's around the television, and no phone's ringing. At 9 o'clock in the newsroom, that almost never happens. But then I look at the TV, and it's reviewing everything that's happened. I got there just in time to see that second tower fall. And it was around that time we got word that another plane was going down in Pennsylvania. So I volunteered to go cover it. And I got to tell you, I was just numb all the way down there. Still trying to put this together, listening to various news reports. Basically trying to figure out why this was happening. And another thing I think we all shared in common that morning is most of us probably had no clue where Shanksville was. I had an idea where Somerset County was. I had no idea where this place was going to be. Then all of a sudden, I see a squad of state troopers, lights flashing, going 90 miles an hour, and I'm thinking, maybe I should just follow them. Then when I got there, state police everywhere, lining the roads, blocking things off. And again, just sitting there, thinking, for most of those 2 weeks, basically, thinking to myself, why did this happen? All sorts of dignitaries were there, everybody from Governor Tom Ridge, First Lady Laura Bush, Donald Rumsfeld. I don't remember thinking any of them said. I mean, I can see the stories looking back that I obviously took it down and reported on it, but again, just all I was thinking was, why? And then one thing was, the next day though, we go off, we talk about first responders and firefighters, the police, all there, but there are a lot of unsung heroes for 9/11. I'd like to discuss the people that were there. See, the first day we were there was no water available, no food, no shelter. I was fortunate I just thought to grab a bottle of soda and a snack on the way down. But then the next day, the Salvation Army was there with tent shelters, all sorts of food, drinks. So I'll go up just for a little bit. pretty soon you're going to be going to the stores, and there's going to be those folks in the Salvation Army ringing that bell with that kettle. You're going to see the Marines there with the box for Toys for Tots. And I just want to ask you, whatever you've got, if it's just a few coins, you know, a dollar, whatever, please give it to them. Because all that goes right back into the community. That's for sure. So, the more I thought, again back to 9/11, what I thought about was, the conclusion I drew was that what happened on September 11th had nothing to do with religion. It had nothing to do with politics. It had everything to do with hate. You have to understand, most of the countries that these terrorists are operating in they're running the show, and they control the media as well. For many years, you know, they control the newspaper, the television, the radio. Everything you've heard about countries like the United States came from them, and the message they wanted to send was that America was a terrible place full of corruption and violence and hatred, a horrible place, and that you should be happy that you're living under this regime. We're keeping you safe. But then the world changed. Electronic media, email, internet, cable television. And then the people in those countries were able to get this information and find out what the rest of the world had known for many years. That more people live better right now in the United States of America than do so at any time in our nation's history. And when they can't hide that fact, suddenly they had to change their tune and say, okay, yeah, maybe there's a lot, they're rich, but they're soft, they're afraid. One attack would ruin them. They'll fall, to pieces if they're challenged. Their idea was one swift, violent attack on innocent persons, and we'd crumble in fear. We'd turn against each other. Did it work? Well, put it this way. 50 years ago, I think could have asked that question to the Imperial Japanese Navy. Nowadays, I'd say, when you ask that question of Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden. Oh, that's right. You can't, can you? Thanks to our servicemen over there who brought these two to justice. Ironically, I think what these terrorists did was give us an opportunity to show once again that the United States, how strong we are. This was an opportunity when we were attacked for us to say, you know what, you're right. We're soft, we're weak, we don't trust each other. But no, we took the opportunity to say, not gonna happen. We're better than this. We are America. We are the standard bearer that the rest of the world can look up to. I'm trying to think of an interesting way to end this speech, but the only thing I can think of is the way President Bush used to end all of his addresses. It summed up very well. Thank you, good night, and God bless America.
Thank you, Bob. This time I'd like to introduce fellow mayor Troy Mike Powers, who met with Mayor Rudy Giuliani in New York City.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, and first of all, thank you, Your Honor, for having me here. For those of us who don't know me, my name is Mike Powers. I was born and raised in a city called Paterson, New Jersey. Paterson, New Jersey is about 12 miles from New York City, so needless to say, when I was a young lad, I went to New York City weekly. My grandparents had a store in Paterson, and what we would do on certain days of the week, Monday was garment day, so we went to the garment district in New York City. Wednesdays was jewelry day, because this is the kind of store they had, and so Wednesday was jewelry district day. And I'd say Friday was probably like a farmer's market kind of a venue. So I went into the warehouses and where their meats were stored. As a matter of fact, if you've been reading the news or been up on the Hurricane Irene, Paterson actually is very much devastated, and so is the Northeast, and so is actually from Georgia to Maine. But growing up in New York City, in New Jersey, going to New York City ever since I was a child, I got to know a lot of the city where, to this day, I look forward very, very much to go back. For those of us, I'd like to take a little mini poll here. Has anybody ever been to the World Trade Center? Can you raise your hand? Terrific. Isn't that great? It's only like, you know, as they say, hop on Route 80, it's 3 hours. Go across the George Washington Bridge and you're there. I was in the service when I heard news. I served in the Navy, and I heard the news that they took the landfill down in what is now known as Ground Zero in the lower part of Manhattan, and they were going to construct these two towers, and the whole area would be a financial district, and they were going to call it the World Trade Center. And I kind of think it was, how are they ever going to do that down there? Because if anybody knows who've been there over the years, that's where the Staten Island Ferry came out of, and it's basically nothing but docks and landfill. Well, needless to say, you've seen what they've done, and it was an amazing, amazing structure. Just for those of us, quick history, it was started in 1969, and the South Tower opened in 71, the North Tower opened in 72. So we enjoyed them very, very well for many, many years. It was always a tourist attraction. If you ever saw movies, I don't know, there's probably 100 movies perhaps that always showed the skyline of New York City plus the Twin Towers. I know I'm a Mets fan. You can stop throwing things any time now, but the Mets logo has a New York skyline, and they always had the silhouette of the Twin Towers. Talking about first responders and the medical teams and the firefighters. Well, if you look at their patches that they wear on their shoulders, they have the skyline of New York City, and they always had the Twin Towers as one of their insignias. To this day, they will wear the Twin Tower patch. To this day, the Mets still have the skyline on their insignia. Unfortunately, they have a ribbon draped over the Twin Towers. When I heard about the incident, obviously just like you, it was a normal day. Reason I am standing in Towanda, Pennsylvania, about 20 years ago, I heard there was a radio station for sale in Troy. And I've been in broadcasting for over 40 some years, and I found out that I had an opportunity to get into the broadcasting area up here. And at that time, the call letters were WJOZ on the AM, and I found out that they had an FM available with WHGL, which we changed the name to Wiggle 100. And our AM still is ESPN Sports, but the nature of this conversation is I came here and got into the broadcasting business here. So that's why I'm here and not in Paterson, New Jersey. So anyway, that day, that September 11th, as Bob was telling you, a typical day. We do have a television set in the studio. Many reasons why. Number one, the Weather Channel. We monitor that a lot. Number two, we look at CNN News so we can see what's going around the globe, and if anything's breaking, we're a CBS News affiliate, and we always keep that in what they call queue, or always continuously run.